Hi there, I am Bonnie McCaffery, and I'm back in Houston at the International Quilt Festival. And oh my gosh, the quilts are spectacular here. Wait till you see. Oh, Estarita! Estarita, come here, come here.
How are you? It's so good to see you.
Hey, you want to go see the quilts with me?
Sure.
Hey, we could have a good time with this. Do you believe the size of these pieces?
I am very inspired by antique textiles, so this is based on an embroidery that I saw at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and I used my fusible raw edge technique and stitched around all those little pieces with the buttonhole stitch on my sewing machine.
I am here with Carrie Bressenhan, who is one of the starters of this incredible exhibit. How long has this exhibit been going on, this quilt show?
Do you mean Quilt Festival?
Quilt Festival, how long is
The International Quilt Festival was started in 1974, and it is now in its 33rd year, I believe.
Oh my gosh, 33 years? It's amazing.
I know. I never dreamed it would fill 5 exhibit halls and draw 55,000 people, and no, I never dreamed that.
Oh, how many quilts do you think are here?
We have over 2,000.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing. It is, and they're so beautifully displayed. It's an incredible exhibit. Do you see any trends right now in quilting?
I would say there's a definite trend toward mixed media, where people are combining perhaps their painting with piecing or beading with applique. It's just a very interesting time to be in quilting.
Where do you see it going in the future?
I see it continuing with the mixed media. I see it continuing big time with machine work.
Ooh.
Because it's almost like hand quilting, as much as I love it, and I am a purist, it's becoming less and less a factor in the quilting world, and more of it is being done by machine.
Yeah, it is. Although there are still people that are doing by
That's
hand.
Right.
Beautiful work
and may
by
their
hand.
tribe increase.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're standing in the journal quilt exhibit.
Yes.
I understand this is the final year of the journal quilts. Is that correct?
This is the 5th and final year of the journal quilts. Yes.
And what is the premise of this year's exhibit?
This year's exhibit is different from the past 4 because always before we had people to make anywhere from 4 to 9 8.5 by 11 sized pieces, and this time we had them put 4 together, so they made 17 by 22 pieces, and they're very interesting, the larger size.
Oh.
They were also asked to identify at least 3 techniques in their piece with the pages out of the Creative Quilting book, so that they could, because this was a recap of everything about the journal quilts, and we thought it would be interesting for people to be able to show what they had learned from this Creative Quilting book.
So this Creative Quilting book is not just the quilts that were in the journal quilts, it's also techniques used.
It's heavily on techniques. Yes, indeed.
That is excellent. Let's take a look at a couple of the quilts that you particularly stand out for you, we'll say.
Oh, you're going to get me in trouble.
No, they're just ones that, they're all fantastic, but we're going to just take a look at a couple of quilts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Since you're making me pick some of these favorites, I would have to say that Betsy True's journal quilt with the garden chair in the snow on the back porch is just incredible. Another of my real favorites here is Carol Soderlund's quilt. Well, this one has to be every woman's favorite in the show. Look at that face on that young man. Look at how she's captured all the shadows in his well-built arms, and it's by Linda Schmidt, and I just think it's terrific. Maria Elkins made this one, and you just look at it and the sense of joy and hope and love that went along with the wedding in her family that year. Deirdre Abbott's is a huge talent, and look at the sweet face on this baby.
Thank you for making this quilt show the best in the world. In my world, it is the best.
Thank you very much, Bonnie.
right, I'm not allowed to have a favorite child, but I can have a favorite quilt. All right, this is just one of my favorites. I love this quilt. I love cats.
Well, Bonnie, you know what I think about rocks and stones. I just kind of have a love affair with them, and I just can't help myself. I don't know what it is. This one's called We're Not in Kansas Anymore. I think that I could just walk right into this one. I don't know why, but I got the feeling that I belong there sometimes. You know what I mean?
Hey, you want to stop and have a cup of tea?
Yeah, but there's just one problem. There are only 3 petty fours.
I'm on low carb. You can have them all.
Thank you. You can have the strawberries.
Hello, my name's Jenny Bowker. I'm Australian, I live in Egypt, and this is Hashem.
So, Bonnie, what do you think of this one, huh?
Well, of course I love it. It's done by you. Nice.
Very nice.
Maybe we should talk to the artist. Now, I understand that there is a story to this piece. What is the story?
The story is that less than a year ago, I lost my full-time job, and I created this piece to symbolize my getting through this rough period of time with the loss of my job.
This is The Gift, and this is about a woman that I met on a cruise ship who was a massage therapist. She felt she had a gift in her hands that would take her away from a country and a life where she couldn't support herself. When I think of the Philippines, I think of the beautiful flowers like here, but for her, the Philippines, because she was raised in a shanty town, that's what it represents to her. And the ocean for her meant escape.
You're looking at the back of the quilt. Come on around.
I created the central image on my computer. I scanned in very tiny fragments of a temper painting. They were about 1 by 2 inches. After that, I printed it on an Epson printer in 5 sections.
I love this piece. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of my favorite pieces.
Me too.
It's the quilting on this piece that really makes it.
This is a piece called Hope for Our World, And I dreamed this piece. In my dream, Desmond Tutu was in the middle of a field, and children from all over the world were approaching him, and they were looking at him in awe. He seemed to represent peace and a future that was positive.
Do you think I can just sit here and pretend like this one is mine?
Come on, Bonnie.
My name is Ted Storm. It's made from a fabric. From one side it's black and the other side it's gradation to light. The design comes from a handkerchief from my great grandma.
I visited the Islamic Arts Museum in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia and was absolutely amazed at the skill and workmanship of some of the decorative ceiling panels done for rooms for the nobility in Damascus and Syria.
It's a grid of squares, so there's a small square and they progressively get larger. So it's this section of squares that's then repeated. So it's basically a 9-patch grid of squares.
Right.
I then took sections and I printed it out on silk fabric using ultrachrome ink. Then I painted on top of it.
We have a good time together.
We always have a good time together.
It was great. And thank you all for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this peek at the quilts here in Houston. It's an amazing show. I hope you'll come back next month and see what I have for you then. Thanks for being with me.